Folks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won the NFC South, the third straight NFC South title, longest streak in franchise history. They have defeated the Carolina Panthers 9-0, finished the regular season with an overall record of 9-8, better than last year, I want to say, with Tom Brady at the helm because it's Todd Bowles. Why the heck not, right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playoff bound for 2023 playoffs, or is it 2024? Doesn't matter. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playoff bound yet again, and it feels oh so good. Pop the bottles of champagne in the chat. Get them going. Because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are making the playoffs yet again. They are in the dance. We can talk about what's going to happen in the playoffs later. But the Bucs win, and they are in. There were people who had some doubts, and it wasn't even pretty in this game. It was 9-0. But the Bucs, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are making the playoffs in 2023. Second year in a row, they have won the division under Todd Bowles. Second year in a row, they have made the playoffs under Todd Bowles. And I'm going to say this. Let me start off by saying this. Before we even talk about the game, I'm going to give Todd Bowles credit, okay? We were talking mid-season. A lot of people were, myself included. We were talking mid-season about firing Todd Bowles. This team was 4-7. 4-7 down the stretch. At mid-season, this team was 4-7. And you go out there and you go 5-1 down the stretch, that's impressive. That is incredibly impressive. I mean, I don't care who it is coaching. I don't care if you like Bowles, if you don't like Bowles. 5-1 down the stretch to end the year and make the playoffs and win the division, that's an impressive stretch for any head coach. I think we can all agree on that, right? Right. Even if the games weren't pretty, wins are still wins. At the end of the day, that is what it is. And the Bucs now find themselves in a position where they're making the playoffs for the second year in a row under Todd Bowles. They are winning the NFC South for the second year in a row under Todd Bowles. This goes a long way in Todd Bowles' job security. A long way. And given the circumstances this year, I would say that the Buccaneers blew expectations. Maybe not out of the water, but they exceeded expectations. I had the Bucs going 8-9 this year. They did a game better. And you look at the situation, it's a team that had a quarterback on a one-year deal whose career was on the line. He finishes with 4,000 yards on the year, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. You finish with two 1,000-yard wide receivers. You have a breakout year from your running back. Should have had 1,000 yards on the year, in my opinion. He was 9 short. It is what it is. This team showed growth this year. I think even in some ways from last year, this team has shown growth offensively. New offensive coordinator, Dave Canales. I think he looked better than Byron Leftwich this year. Maybe people are going to think it's a hot take just because the Bucs just won and made the division. I think that we saw a more balanced offense, and we saw what that could mean for the Bucs. And I think we saw growth and improvement there. Defensively, so many guys have stepped up this year. Antoine Winfield Jr., even in this game against the Carolina Panthers, he saved a touchdown by forcing a fumble that went into the end zone that was recovered by Jamel Dean. And he's looked like one of the best defensive players in the league. Levante David was fantastic this year in the regular season. And those are going to be some of the guys that are gonna look to work their way in the playoffs. Well, again, we'll talk about that when we talk about it, but for right now, the Bucs win, they're in, and there you go. But let's kind of break down this game real quick. Firstly, not a great game for Baker. I'm going to be honest. 20 of 32, 137 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 3 sacks on the day. It was a bad game for Baker. He had three or four throws where he should have been picked off. Is it the ankle? Is it the ribs? Is it none of the above? We won't know. But now what you're hoping for is for Baker to get healthy for the playoff game next week. So Baker, rest up. He's going to be your starting quarterback for the Bucs in the playoffs. Rachaad White had a great game. Really wish he would have gotten 1,000 yards. It was not the case. Chase Edmonds also went kind of crazy today. Had a long run of 27. This is going to be another thing where you look into the playoffs. Might have to rely on the running game a good bit, and they had a good showing here to finish out the year against pretty good run defense in Carolina, or a pretty good defense, in my opinion, in Carolina. Chris Godwin got to 1,000 yards. That's fantastic. He was the leading receiver today. Nothing really here. It's not for lack of trying. Evans had 8 targets. Godwin had 7. Trey Palmer had 6. Passing game just wasn't there today. Trey Palmer had a fumble today. It was recovered by Robert Hainsey. Greg Gaines had a fumble recovered today. Jamel Dean had a fumble recovered today. The defense was fantastic today. Simple as that. Levante David, 9 tackles. Pretty solid game from Levante. Yaya finishes the year with 7.5 sacks. He leads the team. 6 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 quarterback hit. Antoine Winfield Jr. was the absolute star of the defense today. 5 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, a quarterback hit, and a forced fumble that was recovered by Jamel Dean that prevented a touchdown. Guy isn't a Pro Bowler for some reason, but he'll be an All-Pro. He should be an All-Pro. I think he will be. Ryan Neal had a tackle for loss. Devin White had a tackle for loss and a quarterback hit. Jotron Shawinka, I want to mention him because he's had a bit of a rough year this year. 3 tackles, 1 solo, 1 sack, which was a sack fumble, and 1 quarterback hit. And Chase McLaughlin, 3 for 3 on field goals today, a long of 57. The defense and Chase McLaughlin were the absolute stars of the show today. The absolute stars. Re-sign Chase McLaughlin, give him a 3-year deal, give him $3.5 million. Do what you need to keep McLaughlin around because the dude's good. The dude is good. People are going to say, is Baker Mayfield comeback player of the year? No, I don't think so, especially since he cooled off massively in the last 2 games of the year. I don't think so. But Chase McLaughlin and the defense were so huge today to help the Bucs secure the NFC South, to secure a return to the playoffs. And I'm going to give them all the credit in the world today. The offense, running the ball, they did enough to win today. Obviously, the passing offense was not there when you needed it to. Maybe a throw or 2 from Baker at the very, very end of the game. There was a first down throw from Godwin to Godwin, which was good. But folks, here's the thing. People may say the Bucs are limping into the playoffs, and maybe that is the case. 9-0 is obviously not great. Very convincing. But you're in the conversation. And I have said it time and time and time and time and time again. Every single year. I say this about players, and I'm going to say this about teams. You never know what can happen in the NFL. And you never know who is going to make an impact. You never know. The Bucs could go in and win in week 1, in the wild card round and shock the world. That could happen. It could. We don't know until we see it. So I'm going to say, technically anything's on the table, right? You don't know what team's going to make an impact. You don't know what players are going to make an impact. And the fact of the matter is this. Today, in the present, we can talk about the future here in the next couple of days, but today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers make the playoffs, and that matters. Congratulations to Todd Bowles. Congratulations to Baker Mayfield. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The second half of this year, they fought for it, man. They did. And I'm going to give, it's a credit to Todd Bowles and his coaching staff to not give up. It is a credit to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team to not give up. At 4-7, you went 5-1 down the stretch. That is a phenomenal stretch. That's one of the better stretches of any team to finish out the year. That just is what it is. Does it make the Bucs Super Bowl contenders? I don't know. Probably not. But it shows the fight. It shows the grittiness, which I think is becoming a defining factor of this, or has been the defining factor of the team this year, is their grit, their ability to fight, their ability to just scrap. You've been seeing it every year. Does it look pretty? No. Do scrappy fights always look pretty? No. And that's what the Bucs have been this year, is scrappy fighters. and they continue that forward. They continue that forward today. Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the NFC South, folks. It's a great feeling. Celebrate today with friends, with loved ones. Watch the remainder of the games tonight, today, with a smile on your face, knowing that your team, my team, also is making the 2023 playoffs, guys. Folks, it's a good feeling. Tampa Bay Buccaneers playoff football is back. Home playoff game for 2023. Feels great.